Looks like me and the producers need to have a little bit of a talk.
Looks like me and the producers need to have a little bit of a talk.
For 25 years, Big Brother has set itself apart from every other reality competition show, not just for its social strategy and strategic gameplay, which can be seen on other shows, but Big Brother has kept and grown its loyal fan base for a quarter of a century because no other reality show has 24/7 live feeds. That means fans of the show can have an unedited and clear view of what is actually going on in the house and in the game, seeing the contestants who are cut off from the outside world, living in a parking lot on the Radford CBS Studios lot, and competing for $750,000. However, it seems as though in modern Big Brother seasons, the Big Brother producers have simply failed to understand why fans love the show and keep coming back year after year. With twists, unreliable edits, and more of a focus on competitions over social and strategic gameplay, I feel like the producers of Big Brother have lost the plot in why people love their show. Let's get into it. One of the big things I've seen over the last few years that have been making fans angry with the way producers are producing the show is with the unreliable edits. Because Big Brother has 24/7 live feeds, and many fans are either watching the live feeds or getting live feed updates from online sources, it is very frustrating when fans then tune into the episodes to see that the episodes do not show a clear picture of what is actually going on in the house. This is very angering to fans because there are a lot of people who just engage with the show casually. The casual fans only watch the edited episodes, so the only story that they have that's going on in the house is the story that's given to them on the edited episodes. And when that story is very much different from what the other half of the fan base is seeing on the live feeds, there can be this big divide in discourse as far as who the casuals see as playing a good game versus who is actually playing a good game in the house. Now, I do know how difficult it can be to edit days worth of content down and try and find a storyline that can fit within a 40-minute episode. So I will give the editors a bit of a break, but I do have to draw the line when the edit is so far off from what is actually going on in the house. Like, I do know that they can do a better job of showcasing the storylines and the main players of that week. Another thing that frustrates me about the edits of the show is that they waste so much time on silliness and stupid things. And I do know that at the end of the day, Big Brother is a reality TV show for people's entertainment. I get this. So we do have to have silly little segments and things to break up the main storyline. But sometimes it can make me so angry to be tuning into a show and they barely show any bit of the actual strategy and gameplay that's going on. And it seems like they waste so much time in the episodes sometimes on things that don't really matter, especially when they have a lot going on in the house in that particular week and they're wasting time on people in the diary room rehashing competitions or some silly little segment. It's also incredibly frustrating because as a fan of the show, I'm a fan of the show because I like to watch the strategy element of the show and the social gameplay and how the characters adapt every week to the new layout of the house. But when I tell people that I watch the show of Big Brother and then people tune in to see the butler and a guy dressed up in an egg costume walking around the house, it can be incredibly embarrassing to tell people that I engage with the show in a serious way because the episodes can be very much unserious. One of my biggest problems with the way that Big Brother editors handle the show is that they can show people in the wrong light. That being, over the course of the show, we have seen a lot of people who are not great and exhibit terrible behaviors. But it seems as though lately there have been multiple instances of people that exhibit concerning behavior in the house, whereas the producers and the editors try to sweep it under the rug, showing the person edited in a good light. People who engage with the show casually would think that these people are just nice, good-hearted golden boys, when in fact, they're actually the complete opposite. I think sweeping problems under the rug by giving problematic people good edits is harmful to the show, because not only is it portraying somebody in a false light and creating a false narrative, but also it's stopping important conversations from being had. We can't fault production for casting certain people on the show, because we truly never know how somebody is going to act until they get into the house and we can see a full view of who they are as people. But we can fault production for not showing the realistic view of what is actually going on in terms of these people. Sweeping things under the rug is only worse for everybody as a whole. But showing what is actually going on in the house and the way that these people are acting and the behaviors they're exhibiting can lead way to important conversations that I think need to be had, not only in terms of the reality TV world, but in the greater world as a whole. Because in general, the Big Brother house can be a microcosm for society and what is going on. So when people exhibit certain behaviors, I think we shouldn't shy away, but instead show it and have real and meaningful conversations about it. That being said, I do think if contestants are exhibiting harmful, threatening, or aggressive behavior towards other house guests, they should not be in the house for the safety of the other contestants. But if production is not going to kick out certain people, they should at least be showing the way that these people are acting for real. Moving on, the Big Brother producers have lost the plot with these twists. In season 3 of Big Brother, the producers introduced the very first twist to shake up the game. This twist being the power of veto. The power of veto became one of the most iconic game changes of all time, because it would forever change the way the game of Big Brother was played. From season 3 all the way up until season 27, the power of veto has been a permanent staple in the game. In season 4, Big Brother producers wanted to shake up the game by adding drama, and they did this by bringing in past exes of some of the contestants into the house for the summer. These twists had only raised the Big Brother ratings at the time, as people were tuning in to see the drama and the going-ons of what was in the Big Brother house. And I feel like the Big Brother producers then got it in their heads that twist equals audience engagement. However, as we have moved on into modern seasons of Big Brother, the twists have gotten way out of hand. Most of the twists that get introduced, especially in the last few years, I think are bad for gameplay. For people who like to see strategy and the social element of the game, a lot of times the twist halt or stunt the way the game is being played. In more recent seasons, and I'm just going to use Big Brother 20 as an example, they had these power apps in the house, and the contestants knew that certain people would have specific powers. What had happened was there isn't as much gameplay in the beginning of the season, and this happens in a lot of seasons with twists and powers happen in the front half of the game, because the contestants are waiting around for the twist to be over. They're too scared to make big moves, and a lot of times these twists encourage majority alliances to stick together. One of the biggest twist failures of all time, I believe, is the Battle of the Block. The Battle of the Block makes me so angry because I feel like it started this trend in modern Big Brother of encouraging large alliances to get together and stick together. And one of the reasons why I find Big Brother so fun is seeing how the underdogs cause cracks in certain alliances and seeing how people adapt and move and change around in the game. But that just doesn't happen when you have a twist like the Battle of the Block, which encourages the numbers to stay together in order to get past the Battle of the Block section of the season. It was also such an easy twist for contestants to hack, as all they had to do was place a target on the block with somebody from their own alliance who could essentially throw the competition to make sure the target would stay on the block. That's why that one moment with Frankie Grande is kind of iconic, because he won the Battle of the Block by himself, even though Caleb was trying to throw the competition. And what's so funny to me about that moment is that that competition was kind of easier to play by yourself. And if Caleb really wanted to throw the competition, he should have actually played and did a bad job instead of sitting on the ground, essentially making it easier for Frankie to win the Battle of the Block. But I digress a little bit there. Another thing about twists is I feel like production doesn't realize how bad some of their twists can be for the game until the game is actually playing, and then when they mess up, they don't know how to course correct. We can see this in season 15 when Big Brother introduced the MVP twist, which allowed America to vote for somebody to secretly place a third nominee on the block, essentially giving somebody powers of an HOH. But there was no limit to that the audience had to vote for separate people. And in season 15, Alyssa, who was Rachel Riley's sister, Rachel Riley being a fan favorite and winner just 2 seasons prior, was in the house. So of course Alyssa came in with a already large fan base. Now, I too in season 15 was a fan of Alyssa, and this was separate from Rachel. I honestly was unsure about how I was going to feel about Alyssa when I heard that she was Rachel's sister going into the house. And I wasn't the biggest Rachel fan at the time of Rachel's original seasons, but I actually ended up really liking Alyssa. All this to say that Alyssa got a majority of the votes almost every week because she was such a fan favorite with such a large following fan base voting for her. And the Big Brother producers realized how unfair this twist could be if every week basically Alyssa had HOH powers voted by the fans. So they tried to course correct this by then making the twist that America gets to pick who's on the block. But they had confused the fans because for weeks the MVP twist was voting for who America wanted to see make decisions to put people on the block to help their own games. And I think a lot of people weren't really listening and paying attention when the Big Brother producers decided at the last minute to change the twist to be actually America gets to decide who goes on the block. This caused the audience to accidentally vote Alyssa to be on the block in her own season. And I do think this was a big mistake. The fans didn't realize what they were voting for. And honestly, the producers shouldn't have changed up the twists like that midway through the show. I mean, they could have just made a rule that the same person couldn't win MVP twice in a row, very much like the HOH of it all. Another example of a twist really halting the momentum of the game is the Zombie Week twist in BB25. I really think this twist was a mistake on the scheduling of Big Brother production because it just didn't make any sense why we would halt the gameplay for an entire week. Now, in Big Brother 25, they decided to do a battle back, which a lot of times happens in the game of Big Brother, but instead of just doing a battle back and bringing somebody back in the house, they brought back 2 people into the house for an entire week before then doing the battle back at the end of the week instead of an eviction. So for an entire week with nobody being evicted and actually knowing that there was going to be 1 extra person coming into the house the very next week, there was just no strategy and no gameplay going on because what were the contestants supposed to do? It's not like they could strategize. They don't know who's going to come back into the house yet. And there's not much to do as far as there's no eviction. So it was an incredibly boring week and a huge mistake, in my opinion. But now I do have to talk about the major elephant in the room, one of the worst twists of all time, the White Locust twist from this most recent season, Big Brother 27. Now, this is one of the biggest examples of Big Brother production just not understanding their show at all. Because the whole point of Big Brother is that at the end of the day, it is a social show. It is not about who is the fastest, the strongest, and the most competitive. More on that later. It is supposed to be that when your back is in the wall in the game of Big Brother, when you lost the competitions, when your biggest op is HOH, you can maneuver yourself by using your social capital and strategizing to manipulate your way out of sticky situations. That is why the Big Brother game is so interesting to watch. And that is where we get some of the best Big Brother moves of all time, like Dan's funeral. However, the Big Brother producers decided to introduce this twist in which someone would get eliminated from the game instead of voted out. This is almost unprecedented, as in the jury phase, there has never been an elimination because somebody lost a competition. Now, in some of the more recent seasons of Big Brother, we've seen a week 1 twist in which somebody loses a competition, so they get immediately eliminated from the house, which I also think is unfair. But doing this at the jury phase has to be one of the worst decisions of all time. It's just unfair in every way. In a season where players had ample chances to save themselves with the competition, a la the Big Brother blockbuster, it is so infuriating to see somebody get eliminated because they were not good at a competition. There was not really any social or strategic element to the White Locust twists besides the chain of safety, but losing a chain of safety should not be a person's demise in the Big Brother house. There should always, at the end of the day, be a vote and a chance for people to save themselves. Why fans were so mad when Rachel got eliminated because she couldn't do some hamster wheel maze game was because in season 27, they put this focus on competitions where they gave competitors chances to save themselves with the blockbuster twist. So people like Kelly and Keanu, who probably would have gotten out much earlier in the game, were able to coast by longer because they were good at these weird blockbuster competitions. Now, Rachel Riley came into the house a previous winner and a huge target. Not a lot of the other contestants had even seen her seasons before, so they didn't even know her gameplay. They just wanted her out of there. And it was actually amazing seeing Rachel's strategy and social work during the game of Big Brother 27. Some of her biggest ops were HOH, but her allies and herself went to bat for her, and she managed to stay off the block the entirety of her game. That's why it's so unprecedented to see somebody who probably had the best social game in the house and who was in a really great position at the start of the jury to just be eliminated because they couldn't do a competition. It takes away the whole idea of the game of Big Brother, which is supposed to be a game based off of social strategy, not competitions. And I feel like there has been this move lately from the Big Brother producers to put this focus more on competitions, and not only just competitions, but inequitable competitions in which there's a large focus on physical competitions and less focus on strategy, skill, and mental competitions, which makes it a lot harder for different kinds of people to win power in the house. And we've seen that in Big Brother 25, in which Jag and Matt pretty much win their way to the end, although having terrible social and strategic gameplay, just because they're good at the competitions and can keep themselves safe every week. This also being frustrating considering that Jag was evicted unanimously from the Big Brother house, but a twist brought him back into the house and essentially just won his way to the end, which is really boring for fans to see. Like I said, Big Brother is not the challenge. If I wanted to see athletic people win their way to the end, I would watch that show. Back to Rachel's unfair demise. The show tries to double down later on by saying that their chain of safety was a part of the social element of that twist. Like,
oh, well, Rachel, you could have done better in the chain of safety, couldn't you?
And that's actually so not fair to blame Rachel for your dumb elimination twist. And it's so infuriating because Rachel was doing so well in Big Brother 27. She really was not only one of our only forms of entertainment in the house, but she really was making the move. She was actively playing the game every single week, and she was doing a good job at it. So Big Brother producers, I will never forgive you for what you robbed us of in BB27. Because was Rachel going to win the game? I'm not sure. it could have happened. There was a lot of really bad gameplay this season, and Rachel was playing one of the best games, but she was also one of the biggest targets. So we'll never get to know whether or not Rachel would have ever been put on the block or how she would have reacted or campaigned to get the votes to stay in the house. We were completely robbed of seeing that whole side of her strategy because of this stupid twist. And there were a lot of people online that are saying, well,
Maria, you wouldn't have been this mad if somebody like Kelly got eliminated during the White Locust.
Maybe not, but I would still think it's unfair. I think it's unfair for anybody to be eliminated from the game of Big Brother for being bad at a competition, because that's just simply not how the game works. Production has completely lost the plot with their own game and their own rules of their own game. And production brings up the other times they really messed up in terms of their twist and ruining people's games. In the season finale of BB27, when we find out that the mastermind was actually Frankie, Jesse, and Eric Stein. Now, getting an Eric Stein reference on my TV in 2025 was actually insane. I was not expecting Big Brother production to even acknowledge Eric Stein in the year of 2025. So I was happy to see him on my screen, but also angry because I feel like it was just another way to be like, see, we ruined other people's games with a twist, and it's like, that should not have happened. Jesse majorly did get screwed over by the coup d'etat twist because he had no chance to save himself because the twist happened on eviction night. He really had no chance to prepare. And because Jeff, the holder of the coup d'etat, got to replace both nominees from the block, essentially making Shima's HOH useless, he also got to put another ally of Jesse on the block next to him to ensure that they didn't have the numbers to stay, which is kind of unfair. But at the end of the day, at least there still was a vote. Eric Stein's situation was a little bit different because we really got to see Eric Stein as a really great social player. Like, he was really good at getting his agenda done in the house. The only problem was, as America's player, he was really doing America's agenda and not his own, which was essentially his demise when he couldn't get out the people that he really needed to get out in order to move forward in the game. He had to go after the people that America wanted him to go after, which essentially put him into bad situations to lose the game. So I was never expecting them to acknowledge Eric Stein, but that was a fun part of the little mastermind bit that they did in the finale episode, although I think that bit went on a little bit too long. And as in terms of Frankie, I don't think Frankie was really screwed over by the rewind twist. Frankie really chose to press that button, and he had some time to save himself, unlike Rachel, who didn't even get that chance to save herself because she was evicted with no vote. I will never forgive production for taking Rachel Riley out of the game like that. And I know they probably know they messed up. They probably didn't think it was going to be Rachel, but that just goes to show they shouldn't have put that twist in the game anyways. It goes against everything Big Brother stands for, which is a social game, not a game about competitions. Which brings me to my final point of why production really doesn't know their own show anymore, is their emphasis lately on athletic competitions instead of game. We've seen this a lot in recent seasons, as there has been a skew of competitions leaning more towards the physical type of competitions over any other type of competition. And what's really frustrating about this is that it has become hard for other people to gain power who are not the most athletic and physically fit. It's very annoying when you cast older people in the house like a Suri and Felicia, and then have a competition that's about running up and down stairs. Like, Suri and Felicia really had a chance with that. What is going on? But aside from that, in the old days of Big Brother, especially towards the end game, we have seen how the competitions lean more towards the mental side. Who's been studying the days? Who knows their fellow house guests more? But recently, even competitions that have that aspect of it have some type of physical aspect, making it completely hard for anybody who's not the most physically fit to win them. For instance, in the part 2 of the final HOHs in the earlier seasons of Big Brother was mostly focused on Who Knows the Days and who has been studying stuff in the show. But recently, it's not just about who knows the days and who's been doing their studying, but there's always some kind of crazy physical element of running around, climbing up a wall. And in this most recent season, it was hanging from a zip line and swinging back and forth to kick over these blocks. They can't just make the competitions mental anymore. They all have to have some physical element. Not only does this make it hard for there to be transfers of power in the Big Brother house, as there should be, but it discourages different kinds of people from applying to the show, because if the show is so focused on competitions and physical competitions, why would anyone bother when they know that somebody like Jag could win every single competition and get his way to the end? And even with the best social and strategic gameplay, not being able to win the competitions can be your demise in the Big Brother house. Especially because I think the juries lately have been looking a lot at competition wins. And we've seen a lot in recent Big Brother juries where the people in the final two are giving their speeches and they shout out the numbers of vetoes and HOHs that they won. But to me, it shouldn't matter how many vetoes or HOHs somebody won, but what they did with the vetoes or HOH. For example, Vince was bragging that he had won 4 HOHs in his final two speech and all the different types of HOHs that he won. But what did Vince do with his HOHs? I don't think he had almost a single successful HOH until he finally got Keanu evicted. I mean, he was constantly putting up his own allies and getting them out, making terrible decisions for his own game every week. Maybe Vince was well insulated socially in the house, as he had a lot of people who were willing to go to bat for him, which is a plus on his social gameplay. But as far as strategy, Vince had one of the worst strategies I've ever seen in the game, like truly just terrible. But the casual viewers think Vince was good at the game because he won competitions, similar with Keanu. Now, Keanu was just a competition beast, as the competitions are suited for somebody like Keanu, as they have been leaning more physical. And I noticed that in this most recent season, there was a lot of casual fans that really liked Keanu. One, because he's an underdog, and I noticed that the casual fans tend to want to root for the underdogs in the game. But 2, because he was good at competitions. But anyone who was watching the live feeds know that Keanu was terrible in terms of social and strategic elements of the game. All of his reads on the house were almost always completely wrong. He never believed the people he should have. And time again, Keanu kept crawling back to Vince, who had constantly betrayed him and proven that he doesn't want to work with him. Someone like that can only make it so far in the game because of their competition wins. Now, I think Keanu was a fun character to watch on TV, and I didn't mind him winning America's Favorite, although I think people should have voted for Rachel since she really deserved it, as she was unfairly eliminated from the house. I understand the casuals wanting to root for Keanu, as he was an underdog in the game, but we can't pretend that Keanu had any kind of good strategy or social gameplay in that house. The thing is, the show has been more focused on competitions, especially in their diary rooms and the way that they choose to show and highlight certain contestants in the house. It seems like they always want to highlight people who are good at competitions and make the show lean more competition heavy. And that's where we get instances like Ashley, who would go on to win the game. And I'm so happy that Ashley won the game of Big Brother, because it proves that social strategy means more still to the jurors than competitions. But the Big Brother editors really messed up with Ashley, because they didn't show anything that she was doing. So to the casual fans, they think Ashley was some kind of coaster who just happened to coast by to the end, not seeing all the moves that Ashley was making socially and strategically. Now, do I think Ashley is like the best social and strategic player to ever play Big Brother? No, but was she a really great social and strategic player in the season of Big Brother 27, whether there was a lot of really bad social and strategic players? Yes, and I think Ashley deserved a better edit showing all the things that she was doing, especially in the weeks after Rachel left, to keep herself in the game longer, to put cracks in between Morgan and Vince, to fix her relationships with people who didn't like her, like Ava and Lauren. Ashley was putting in the work week after week, but the edit wasn't showing it. The edit was focusing more on the Vinces and the Morgans, the people who are winning a lot of competitions. Now, I think Morgan did a really decent job in Big Brother 27 in terms of a well-rounded game, But I also think that Ashley deserved some credit in the stuff that she was doing. And because the edit just simply didn't show this, there are a lot of casual fans upset with Ashley's win because the way the show framed Ashley as just being there and doing nothing. I mean, even her Zing Bot Zing was about how she's not doing anything in the game. And it makes a lot of people angry seeing Ashley as a bad winner. Like, there are a lot of people out there that think Vince deserved to win the game of Big Brother. And I can tell you, if you were watching the live feeds, you would not think that Vince deserved to win the game of Big Brother. No offense, but he is one of the worst strategic players I've ever seen. Just week after week, putting himself in bad positions when he didn't have to in the game. Also, I just couldn't stand the whining. I'm so sorry, but I just couldn't. All this to say, Big Brother loves to brag about some of the best moves of all time, like Dan's funeral, and some of the best players of all time, like Dr. Will. But these big players like Dan and Dr. Will were not really that good at competitions. I mean, Dan did win a lot of competitions in the end game of Big Brother 10, but Dan's funeral in Big Brother 14 is one of the greatest Big Brother moments of all time because Dan had his back against the wall. He had lost the veto competition, and his biggest op in the house, Frank, was the HOH. In any normal season, any regular person might have thought that they were down and out in the game. Not only that, but Dan barely had any time before the veto meeting because he got 24 hours of solitary confinement. So Dan's funeral was this huge play to get Dan off the block, and it worked. The man was able to come up with a plan, cause a huge distraction, and get his biggest enemy in the game to get his ally to take Dan off the block and then replace Dan with one of Ian's allies. The Big Brother producers love talking about and showing Dan's funeral and Dr. Will's "I hate you all" speech. It is one of the most iconic moments in the show of all time, but they've lost the plot if they think that they can move towards competitions and making the game being all about competition wins, because these moments were great in the game because these players had their backs against the walls and they famously lost the competitions. People like Dan and Dr. Will prove that you don't need to be good at competitions in order to be good in the game of Big Brother. But recently, with the move towards competition heavy aspect of the show, it seems as though the producers don't understand that, especially by eliminating someone because of a competition. So with Ashley winning Big Brother 27, we can celebrate a little bit that at least the jury still cares about social and strategy. Not all hope is lost, but there definitely has to be some changes that need to be made. I think one of the biggest ones is just do a season without twist. Big Brother 10 was so good, and I think it's probably one of the best seasons of Big Brother, and it didn't have any twists in it, and that allowed for so much more drama to happen within the game. Do a season with no twist. Like, just do it, Big Brother. Make more equitable comps. Just do it, Big Brother. I don't have much hope in terms of production, but I do have hope in terms of contestants. As long as we can continue to get contestants that use their social capital and use strategy to manipulate themselves to the end of the game, then the show is still going to be fun to watch for me. The second we start losing the main aspects of the show, the main point of the show, which is that it is a social game, is the second that Big Brother really starts to turn bad. So let's continue to hope that strategy prevails and social game prevails. And I guess we will see next summer what kind of craziness ensues. And that's all I have for you today. Once again, thank you for watching. This video might not make any sense because I kind of went into this one without a script, so I'm kind of just ranting here, especially because Big Brother 27 has just ended at the time of me filming this video. So if it doesn't make much sense, I'm very sorry. I'm kind of just spewing my thoughts into a microphone, and I hope that it comes out coherent in the edit. If you are a Big Brother fan, let me know in the comments what you thought of this season. Let me know if you want me to talk more about this most recent season of Big Brother or more about Big Brother in general. But if you made it all the way to the end, congratulations and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.